he's back.
Costa looks at Joyce, he stopped it. Zhang has beaten Joyce, whose unbeaten record is gone. And the big man from China has caused a heavyweight sensation in the copper box. The damage to the eye of Joyce has led to the fight being stopped. But Zhang was outstanding in there tonight, Richie Woodall.
Our referee in charge, Howard Foster, stops the contest. Therefore, your winner by way of technical knockout and new WBO interim heavyweight champion of the world, Zhilez Big Bang Zhang.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Backchat TV. Well, what can I say? Zhang, Big Bang. What an amazing performance. A lot to say, to be honest, but I want to kind of keep it as short as possible, as brief as possible, I should say. But first, I just want to talk about my thoughts on Joyce. He's the only fighter that I'm just confused about a lot of the times. I've been wrong about him, I've been right about him, I've been wrong about him. I just can't get a read on anything about Joyce. His performance, his character, I've been wrong so many times. I actually made a video quite long ago about Joyce where, well, quite a long time ago actually, where I said that I thought he was slow, I thought he was cumbersome, I thought that he telegraphs his punches. His punches look like he's punching like underwater, like in slow motion. I said this guy's never going to be able to become anything great in the heavyweight division. And a lot of my my friends and colleagues and other boxing fans that I talk with regularly, they said no, Joyce is the next, like he's the second coming almost. Joyce is big, he's the juggernaut, he's got an iron chin, he's got punching power, and I never really thought he had punching power. And I allowed other people's views to actually kind of skew the way I see Joyce, and I was like, yeah, maybe he is. And so I remember saying that Daniel Dubois was going to completely obliterate Joyce. He's much faster, he's everything that Joyce isn't. And then when Joyce actually completely shocked me, and I lost money because I actually put a bet on Daniel Dubois. I was completely sure that Daniel Dubois was going to win. And when he beat Daniel Dubois, that's what I started to change my mind. I started to be like, I can't see what it is about Joyce that's so good. Then I started to see that he does have some intangibles where he has a lot of stamina. He's obviously a big guy, 6'6" or whatever, 6'5", 6'6", and that pressure, And I started to see some of the things that he does good, and I think I started to overestimate some of the things he does good. Then I saw him obviously against Joyce, against Joseph Parker, who we all know is a top fighter, and he obliterated Parker. So that's when I started to become like, maybe Joyce, yeah, he comes forward, he slips punches better than. His timing is what makes him good. And I started to see all these things. But in my mind, I never really rated Joyce. I couldn't really see why he was kind of having these really good performances. And then and then this fight now has kind of proven to me what I've always seen in him, I think at the top level, I think once he comes up against a guy as big as him, in this case, actually bigger, as in this guy actually came in heavier than him, and Joyce normally comes in heavier. He actually came in lighter, 18 stone something for this fight, and he was lighter. And I feel like that went against him. Where Joyce is normally the heavier man, coming in lighter, I don't think it worked for him. I'll tell you why. I've never really thought that Joyce has power in his hands, to be honest. I thought he's heavy-handed just because he's a very big man, 6'6", and he's a big door frame of a man, and he comes forward, and that momentum is what often causes that weight, the weight of his shot and his pure size. The way he throws his right hand, I think that's what normally gets people out of there. But I wasn't really sold on his actual power, you know. It doesn't look powerful. A lot of his punches look like pity-patty kind of punches where they're not really that meaningful. And the funny thing about it is where he came in lighter, probably lighter than he's ever been in the ring, his power kind of disappeared as well. And I think that's where his power was coming from, his weight, his size. Once he kind of came up against somebody who actually was heavier than him with the same dimensions and had faster hands, you saw for yourself that square stance where he stands right in front of his opponents. It didn't pay off because he couldn't get out of the way of the straight left. All night he got hit with that straight left from Zhang. He could not get out of the way, and it's not as if he was trying to come forward and just pressure him. He was actually trying to be smart once he felt the power of Zhang, and he was trying to move his head off the line, but he wasn't doing a very good attempt. I've seen him much better than this before. He had zero head movement, but there were times, like I said, when he was trying to get out of the way and fight a little bit long, and he was getting hit with that left hand. He could not get out of the way of that straight left. He was getting caught with the right hook as well after following up. And his corner, I wasn't happy with his corner either, you know. You've got all these world-class trainers, coaches, and none of them could kind of help him turn the tide, you know. If it was me, I would have wanted to see him go to the body. To be honest, I would have said, you know, get your timing, get your hands up. When he fires, get your hands up and counter to the body. Pressure, counter to the body, non-stop to the body, and then the head, you know, never the head first, counter to the body, because he was losing the battle of the jabs. And I felt like when he did go to the body, Zhang kind of, I feel like Zhang didn't like it to the body. He seemed to slow down. If you see how well he was doing early on, and he stunned Joyce a number of times with a straight left, and then when Joyce started to push forward and he caught him a few times with the body, it seems as if Zhang started to slow down. And I just had a feeling that I think he should have pressed to the body. I think Zhang would have slowed down massively. Also, the reason why I say that is if he would have kept his hands up and countered to the body and kept close to Zhang, firing to the body most of the time, I didn't feel like Zhang liked it. I felt like Zhang wanted to create space so that he could land that straight left, which is what he did. So I would have wanted Joyce to counter more to the body. And that's what I would have liked him to do. But he didn't seem to be able to close the space, the distance on Zhang like he normally does. He has faster feet than Zhang, but Zhang has faster hands. You know, so it seemed like Zhang was just his kryptonite. And I feel like Joyce, somebody was always going to do this to him. I was just waiting to see who it was. I think all the opponents he fought before were significantly smaller and just didn't have the power to deter him. And Zhang is the first man that had the power to deter him from coming forward. Having said that, I don't know, because Daniel Dubois, another big man, fast hands, a lot of power. Daniel Dubois, don't forget, was having a lot of success early on in their fight, and Joyce just seemed to have better timing. So I don't know what went wrong here, because I actually rate Daniel Dubois, but maybe he's not as good as I first thought as well, you know. But like I said, Joyce, this was his worst performance to me. He looked slower than he normally looks. Despite losing weight and looking like he was in better condition, I feel like the added weight would have done him justice, and I think he could have done much better if he would have kept that weight on. So maybe Tyson Fury here has got a point when he says it's better for a naturally big man to keep the weight on. I think Joyce made a mistake dropping weight. I don't know if he intentionally dropped weight or it was just a result of his training camp, but he didn't look as powerful. He didn't look, his timing, couldn't quite get his timing right. And I don't want to take away from Zhang, to be honest. I've always thought that Zhang was quite good, but I never really said much about him because he never seemed to have a good gas tank. He seems to slow down. Even in this fight, he seemed to slow down a bit. But maybe that's his style. He's a bit of a stalker. He kind of picks his spots and then he kind of fights in spurts. You know, he's not really like someone who overwhelms you. And I feel like he can get a bit tired in fights. If you see the fight with Hrgović, you know, he got a lot more tired in that fight. And from then, I didn't really rate Zhang, so I had Joyce winning all day. But no, I was wrong, totally wrong. I was wrong about everything, to be honest. As usual, with when it comes to Joe Joyce, sometimes he performs well, sometimes he doesn't. This was his worst performance. I didn't see anything from him. I mean, I saw things he was trying to do. I commend the fact that he tried to push forward, even though his right eye was completely closed. He still went for it, but when the doctor stopped it, he didn't have any complaints. The way he kind of turned his back and walked off, I feel like he didn't really want to be in the fight any longer anyway. He knew that he was losing. He said he couldn't get out of the way of that straight left. It was a killer. He said it was karma because he had done exactly the same thing to Daniel Dubois. You know, and I feel sorry for Joe Joyce because he's such a nice guy. You know what I mean? But nice guys don't win belts, you know what I mean? But I do feel sorry for him because he's had a long journey, unbeaten up until now, you know, and he also could have got his shot earlier. He missed a few opportunities to get his shot, and now it's all gone wrong, you know. But I always felt like his style was going to get found out sooner or later. You can't stand in front of heavyweight fighters and not move your head and not keep your hands up, you know, and you just can't do that. Just can't do that against these bigger guys, you know. Maybe people like Stavern and a few people that he beat quite easily. Even Parker, hard puncher, but he's a little bit of a smaller man. But then in saying that, you know, Parker really hit him with some real shots, and I feel like it was the weight difference. I feel like maybe because Joyce had lost the weight, that extra weight, because he'd come in lighter than he came in for Parker, and he came in lighter than he came in for a few fights. He was heavier against Dubois as well. So coming in lighter, I don't know if it was like his career lightest or anything like that, but coming in lighter for this fight did not benefit him. That's one thing I did see. He looked just as slow as usual, just as plodding, just straight up and down, right in front of Zhang, no head movement. And yeah, but I want to commend Zhang. He's a lot better than I thought he was, to be honest. And Hrgović is someone who is a lot better than I thought he was as well, because he really gave Zhang a really good fight. But Zhang, I have to say, 2 good wins against Hrgović, now against Joyce. What can Zhang do in this heavyweight division now? Can he mix it up with the likes of Usyk and Tyson Fury? We'll have to see. He's earned his way here, complete underdog, and I do like an underdog story. You know, I wouldn't really give him much of a chance as it stands against Usyk and Tyson Fury at the moment. But, you know, I commend him for this win. I definitely think he can beat, you know, the likes of Dillian Whyte, the likes of Daniel Dubois. I'm putting Zhang pretty high up there now because of these, on the back of his last 2 performances, to be honest. Let me know what you think. Is this the end of Joe Joyce? I kind of feel like it is, to be honest. He's already in his mid-30s. This was his last shot, I think. I think he should retire, but, you know, he is going to try again. I just don't know. At 30-something, can he learn new skills? Can he become faster hands, get his hands up, move his head out the way? Can he learn all that now? I don't know. Let me know what you think. It was a good fight. Great performance by Zhang. He really impressed me. I'm going to have a lot of eyes on him now, from now on, because to be honest, I wasn't giving him the respect he deserves, but now I am. And commiseration to Joyce. His mother got in the ring. She was quite funny when she was kind of trying to console him and stuff. You know, he really is a bit of a mother's boy, you know, in a good way. You know, I really feel bad for Joyce, like I said before, because I was kind of warming to him. You know, I was warming to his character anyway. He doesn't say much. You know, he's not the most charismatic person, but he's such a nice guy. I wanted him to get this opportunity, you know. I wanted him to get the opportunity, you know, to see him in big fights against like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury and Usyk, you know, and I'm not sure if we're going to get to see that now on the back of this performance. But yeah, disappointed for the Brit. Let me know how you feel. How did you feel about the stoppage? 6-round TKO. Did you think he could have carried on? I think most people probably think that it was fair that it was stopped. He couldn't see out of that right eye at all. But, you know, what do you think about the stoppage? What do you think he could have done to get himself back in the fight, apart from keep his hands up and move his head out the way? Let me know what you think, man. I'm on to the next one. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.